Yo, what's up, guys? This is Why Not Be Reckless, aka Why Not Be Cast. I'm one of the HCS commentators, analysts, and grassroots content creators, and we have another HCS report where today we're going to be talking all about SSG and how they won Arlington. Let's get right into it. We're talking about Space Station Gaming, and in case you were living under a rock, spoiler alert, Space Station Gaming were your #1 team coming out of Arlington, and although they weren't exactly the cleanest team coming out of group play and ultimately into championship bracket, they still stepped it up, ultimately mattered most. So we're going to take a deep dive into the statistics and ultimately what made SSG the powerhouse that they really were going into this event. But before we get there, we'll just do a quick recap in case you happen to miss Space Station Gaming dropping the game to Quadrant and Shopify Rebellion, even dropping games in pool play as well, but on the way to the winners bracket finals where they ran into a very clean, very good Optic roster, taking them to a game 5, securing their spot in the grand finals. Then within that grand finals, we ultimately did see them go to a game 7 with that same Optic roster, but still back-to-back elimination games and back-to-back eliminations of Optic to make it through. We'll say closest series yet. I actually put out an interesting stat that going into this game 7 during the grand finals, Space Station Gaming and Optic had the same exact amount of kills after 6 games. They were literally tied at 484 kills. So that didn't say how evenly matched they were. I don't know what will. Going into the stats, because unlike against Optic Gaming, Space Station Gaming kind of put in some work against the rest of the HCS. And like I said, even while dropping a couple of games, I will say Shopify, Quadrant, and some others in there that did drop some games to, I still think it demands respect. So to me, what stood out to me personally was objective efficiency and firepower, especially when talking about Stellar. We're going to go right into this, where objective efficiency. You know, Slayers are going to be Slayers. You practice them, you try to get better. 7-3 is damn good for Slayers. But in those Slayers, they did drop one to Shopify, they did drop one to Foe. That's going to happen. Sometimes the underdogs are able to take Slayers on you. It's been like that since the beginning of time. Been like that since the beginning of Halo. The underdogs will catch you off guard when it comes to Slayers. But in order to win in a best-of-5 series, you have to win at least one objective. And the best teams in the world usually win 2 objectives. Sometimes you take it in all 3 objectives and don't even win a Slayer in a best-of-5 series. And that's what most of your series were outside of the grand finals. Capture the flag. 4-1. By the way, the only team that you dropped the game to was Optic Gaming. Pretty damn good. King of the Hill, I will say 3-2 is not bad, but this is a game that you lost to Quadrant, and although Quadrant were impressive during the tournament, not exactly the team that I think SSG should be losing any games to, let alone an objective like King of the Hill. But you know how it is. I mean, you're not going to run a perfect tournament. I'm not going to beat Space Station Gaming up, especially because they won the tournament. Then going into Oddball, 4-1, Strongholds 4-1 across the board. Capture the Flag, Oddball, and Strongholds, the same exact 4-1 record. And by the way, the only teams that you lost an Oddball to is Optic, who were the best Oddball team in the tournament, and the same thing for Strongholds. Like, you're not losing out on Strongholds, Oddballs, and Capture the Flags to teams that you shouldn't be. Where King of the Hill, I would say maybe Quadrant you should have beat right there. So to me, it was about their objective efficiency going in. Next up, I do want to talk about their live fire game. Live fire and recharge are the 2 most important maps in the HCS. If you want to take your game up another level, listen to me. Work on your live fire game and work on your recharge game. The reason being is that the most game types are on those 2 maps. Simple as that. When you go to Aquarius, all you have is Capture the Flag and Slayer. When you go to Solitude, same thing. All you have is King of the Hill and Slayer. Going into Streets, where they took out King of the Hill, They took out strongholds. All you have is oddball and slayer. Most of these maps, all you have is 2, maybe even 1 game type on that you're going to see when you progress in your ranked gameplay and even your competitive gameplay. But think about live fire and recharge. You have slayer, you have king of the hill, you have oddball, and you have strongholds on both of those maps. That is why I say that live fire and recharge are your 2 most important maps that you have, and live fire was statistically their best map, actually maybe outside of solitude, which they were 4-0 on. Still a 6-2 record on live fire. Very good. By the way, I want to give a shout out to Buff Stats for putting these stats together for us. Fantastic, by the way. Fantastic work. I love you guys. You guys help me prepare for every tournament. You guys are so good. Shout out to Buff Stats. So objective efficiency, there. One of the most important maps that you had to worry about, plus your solitude game. There. Very good for space station gaming. But then on top of that, we talk about their firepower. And especially when it comes to Stellar. 621 kills and 304 assists with a 1.18 KD is crazy. Averaging 21 kills in an entire tournament, is ridiculous. Think about a Slayer. A good Slayer game for you is 13 kills. Let's say Stellar is averaging a good Slayer game throughout an entire tournament, which, by the way, is probably not even possible. Think about how many kills he had to have in objective in order for him to average 21 kills throughout an entire tournament that included Slayers. 21 kills. That is crazy. And I thought that was it. And then you drop down, you see Bow the Legend averaging 19 kills. You're like, whoa, you're right behind them. Even Eco, 16 kills. When you look at this level of firepower, how can you lose? I'm serious. This, I'll give you guys a comparison. 21, 16, 19, and 19. Let's compare. We all agree that FaZe are one of the best lane teams in the league. I think we can all agree with that. FaZe's average is 16, 16, 17, and 15. And arguably, when running through the lower bracket, there's probably some more teams that FaZe probably could have beat up on a little bit. Like remember going into late day 2 when at the end of day 2 and we looked at the KDs, we saw that FaZe took up 4 of the top 5 spots when it came to KD. When you're in the lower bracket and you are of a caliber of FaZe, you can beat up on teams, and their averages come nowhere close to the total of Space Station Gaming. So when you combine the level of objective efficiency in which they play with, which is damn efficient, they win objectives, plus they slay their, pardon my French, but they slay their asses off. when you combine those two, you simply have a winning formula. And I think that's why Space Station Gaming ultimately won Arlington. The objectives were on point. Efficiency was there the entire time. So their slays were far beyond the rest. They were really having one. And to do that in Optics House, when that crowd isn't on your side, we saw what SSG was able to do back in Utah during the Global Invitational, and they ended up winning that tournament because the crowd was on fire for them. It wasn't in Arlington. They had fans out there, which was great, but those fans were on fire for Optic. And to go into their house to cut through the noise with just straight skill, with just straight grit, and just straight good fundamental Halo, it's no wonder why Space Station Gaming were able to win your opener. And honestly, it's going to be a long season for anybody who isn't named SSG if they keep. Guys, that was your HCS report. Like I said, this was a deep dive into a bit of the stats. Hope you found this a little helpful. We'll probably do this more with adding more content to this. Like we'll probably even do maybe a bit of a breakdown of an SSG matchup, especially it's like a finals or even the winners bracket finals, which incredible. Add more content like this going forward. Hope you guys enjoyed it. HS Report. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're watching live on Twitch, thank you so much. Make sure you smash that sub button and that follow button. If you're watching here on YouTube pre-recorded, probably a bit cleaner, maybe a little bit more edits. But also, if you could do me a favor, like, subscribe, yeah, I guess, yeah, blah, blah, blah. All right, guys, peace out.